Today I'm showing you guys how to do a full 100-hour service on your Honda generator, so go ahead and stick around for just a couple minutes as we get started. First thing you're going to need is some 5-weight or 10-weight 30 oil, also something to catch the oil in along with a funnel to fill it back up. A Phillips screwdriver, also a 10mm ratchet or socket will work, along with a 5/8 spark plug socket and ratchet, and then also a gap tool will be handy, and then also a flathead screwdriver. And when you go ahead and pick out your oil, don't overthink this part. You only need to get what's in the service category, and if you look, the API service category is a SJ or later, and you can find this information on the back of all the oil containers. You'll see right there it says SP, which that's perfectly fine for what we're doing. And also some air filter oil might come in handy, or you can also use motor oil as well, but we'll go over that in a minute. And then also a bristle brush as we get started. Some gloves would also be handy. So go ahead and pop off the side panel real quick, and we're going to start off with the oil change first. And I've already warmed up the generator, that way this will help drain the oil quicker and easier. And when you do this step, taking out the dipstick, make sure you note the level, because it should still be full, and if it's not, then that might indicate a leak or maybe a problem with the generator. And as you guys are here, be sure to smash that like button if you guys like what you see. And as you take a look at this oil, even though it's only got about an hour and a half on it, it's actually still pretty dirty, but this is the break-in oil, so that is to be expected. So we're going to go ahead and fill this back up. I'm going to put in about 13.5 ounces because you always have about maybe a ½ ounce of residual oil left in the generator. So I put a little tape line there, and that just kind of gives me the indication mark of how much oil I'm going to put in my little cup here as I fill it up. And you'll want to do this part kind of slow so you don't overfill it too quick, and then you kind of make a mess, and there's no reason to really hurry. This only takes about a minute anyway. And as you take a look, when it's full, it'll actually hit the threads right there, as you can see, and this indicates you're full and you don't have to add any more. So go ahead and clean up with your rag, and then we're going to go ahead and reinstall that dipstick. And so make sure that that O-ring is also still intact on the dipstick and it's not compromised as far as being cracked or dried out. It's always a good thing to look at. And then we'll go ahead and get on with the air filter. So we're going to go ahead and pop off the air filter box cover. And as you can see, this thing is still really clean because it doesn't have much runtime, but we'll do the whole procedure anyway by removing the pre-filter and the air filter, and I'll run you through the steps. So we'll need ourselves a catch basin like this, and also some Dawn dish soap works really good, and you want to fill that up with some warm water and then go ahead and wash both filters. And then after you get done, rinse them out with good clean water and then give them a good wring out, and then we'll put them in a towel and then go ahead and press down on it. This will get out any excess water, and then you can put these out to air dry for a couple hours. And then what we're going to need is that sandwich bag, some air filter oil, and what we're going to do is only use about a capful, and then basically go ahead and close this bag most of the way, but let the air get out as you smash this around and cover both sides of the bag. What we're trying to do is get a thin layer on each side of the bag. That way when we put our air filter in there, as you can see on my gloves, there's a little bit of sheen of oil on it. That's what we're looking for. So if I was going to re-oil this, I'd put this in the sandwich bag and I would just kind of lightly press it all the way around the edges in the front and back face of the air filter, and that would be it. And then we could go ahead and reinstall it into the air filter box, and then get your pre-filter and go ahead and reinstall that. And then reinstall the airbox cover, and then we can go ahead and move on to the next step. But be sure to, after you tighten this, you'll want to check all the way around the edges to make sure it's properly seated. That way the air comes through the air tubes only on the bottom. Go ahead and reinstall the side panel and get your flathead screwdriver and tighten that up. And we'll move on to the next step, which is going to be the spark plug. So we'll remove the spark plug cover and then take off the spark plug cap. And then just kind of tuck this off to the side so it stays out of our way, and get that 5/8 spark plug socket. And that has a little boot in it to catch the spark plug as you pull it out. So give that a little pop like so, and that'll just break that spark plug loose. And then you can go ahead and twist it out and finish it out by hand. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at this and inspect it. As you can see, this is still really clean, so we're going to keep it, but we are going to check the spark plug gap. Even though they should be pre-gapped, we'll check it anyway. And you can see it's about 22 to 23 thousandths, and in the manual it'll say 24 to 28 thousandths. These are all things you can check, along with also the correct spark plug, which is a NGK CR5 HSB. And so that's what you should use, and I'll have links down below for all this stuff. That way it makes it easy for you guys to find it. And then we'll go ahead and put that spark plug back in, reinstall the spark plug boot, and then we'll continue on to our last step. We're going to go ahead and move on to the flame arrestor now, and this is where you'll need that Phillips screwdriver or either a cordless drill. Kind of makes the job a little quicker. And we'll remove that exhaust cover on the back. And so what we're going to do is remove these 3 10mm bolts, and basically you'll use either a ratchet or a socket, And these are going to be on there a little bit stiff since it is the first time they're coming off since being on at the factory. So this time they will be a little bit harder, but these two short bolts go at the top and you have one long bolt at the bottom. And when you take this off, be sure to take note of what's on the back side of it. We're looking for an exhaust gasket, basically. So as we pop this off, sometimes it'll fall off or it'll just stay right there on the muffler. So you can see it's still there, so we're not going to mess with it. But sometimes you'll even see it on the muffler side as well. So we'll go ahead and pop out our little screen. And that's the part we're going to clean. If this was really dirty, it would have a bunch of soot and black kind of carbon deposits on it. And we would just scrape that off with either a bristle brush, a wire brush of some sort. Or if it's heavily sooted, we could use a torch like so. And basically, if this was heavily sooted with carbon deposits, the torch would actually burn them all off and clean the screen all the way to like new. As you can see there, how the screen is completely clear. That's basically what would happen with a torch. So the torch sometimes does make some quick work out of it, and you would just burn the whole thing off like this, and it would only take about a minute. And then you could go ahead and reinstall that back into the muffler, and then reinstall the muffler back onto the engine, and make sure to remember that that gasket is still there and that doesn't fall off. And then you'll just go ahead and reinstall all three bolts and then torque these back down, and then you're pretty much good to go. And I hope you guys did like the video, and make sure to smash that like button. And until then, I hope to see you guys next time.